Hello, my name is Corey and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a little Appalachian Trail through hiking gear shakedown. I thru hiked the trail last year and I know this time of year a lot of thru hikers are just getting started out or looking for their final gear choices, and they might have some questions about gear and what to pack and what not to pack. So I just want to do a quick run through of the gear that I brought with me last year. This is the gear that I
again. I dare you. I double dare you.
ended with. There were a lot of changes along the way, and there's going to be a lot of changes along the way for you too, but this is kind of where I ended up, and we'll just get right into it. Starting off with the pack itself, I've got a Z-Pack Arcall 60. This is a 60 liter pack and it is amazing. I started out with the Gregory Paragon about 700 miles in. I had some issues with it falling apart and the comfort of it was just not there, so I switched to this and never looked back. This thing is amazing. I still use it to this day on weekend trips or even day hikes. It's just so versatile, and it's well ventilated too with the arc here. It's extremely light, of course, and it's all around great pack. Starting on the outside pouch here, I've got all my items that I need easily accessible. So first things first, I've got my water bag and water filter. I went with the CNOC, I think it's the Vecto 2 liter Sawyer Squeeze, the full size. And one thing that's important to have is this little, if you can see that, it's the back flushing attachment. So this just screws right on, and it's great for if you want to use your bag as a gravity filter. Just set it up like that, and then you can hang it from a tree, or even if you want to squeeze it like this way you don't have to hold it. But you can also use this to back flush with the water bottle and clean out your filter on trail. So that's water system there. Next up, I've got my first aid kit. I don't know what's in here right now, but just any sort of baggie with Band-Aids and Neosporin, Advil, etc. It's great to have. And then Leuko tape, I took this out to especially highlight it. This is going to be your best part on trail. Honestly, this can do a lot of what a Band-Aid can, and it helps with blisters. Put this on the hot spot and you won't get a blister. And it does not come off. I think I probably wore a piece of Leuko tape in my leg for at least a week. It sticks. Ziploc bags are going to be a great asset on trail. A gallon Ziploc would be all you need for a trash bag. You can make one of these bad boys last for a couple weeks, if not a month. Just make sure you don't puncture it. My electronics bag here, I've got on the outside, easily accessible. Just I think this is a what is this, Matador zip-up bag. It's a toiletry bag, but I like that it was a little more robust. I didn't have to go through multiple Ziplocs, and it's mostly waterproof. Inside here I've got my headlamp, which is a black diamond. I've also got this little guy. It's a Rovivon Aurora A5, and the great thing about this is that it's got a magnet clip on the side as well as a hat clip, and it's really bright for what it is. So I would keep this kind of, on my shoulder strap or in my belt bag, and this was kind of my go-to, whereas this was for more of like a night hiking situation. Which, by the way, night hiking is really fun. If you're nervous about it, I would suggest just giving it a shot. You'll love it. It's a little spooky, but that's kind of what makes it fun. My battery bank, I've got a Nightcore 10,000 milliamp, and this was perfect for about 99% of the trail. Honestly, if I had a bigger battery bank, I probably would have gone on my phone more. But otherwise, this was great for keeping my phone charging between those town stops. Probably 3 days I could get out of it with ease. This will depend on your type of phone too. If your battery's a little older, might have a bit of a trickier time. In the 100-mile wilderness, I did add on a 10,000 milliamp hour just because I wanted to take my time and take plenty of photos. Cables, I've got 3 different cables. One for my watch, one for my phone, one for the battery bank. If your phone and battery bank are the same, one less cable. For my charging brick, I've got an Anker, I think it's a 65 watt charger. It's got a USB-A port and 2 USB-Cs. This is amazing because when I stop at a hostel or somewhere in town, I can charge up my phone, battery bank, and my watch at the same time. So maximizing that time, especially if you're not staying overnight, you want to get everything charged up and get back out on trail before it gets dark. Unless you're night hiking. Kept my cook kit on the outside just because it fit nicely in there. And I've just got a 700 milliliter Tokes titanium pot. This thing was great. I started off with a bigger pot and shortly realized I did not need a bigger pot. So same with the stove. Started out with the Pocket Rocket 2, downsized to the BRS. This thing, not the most fuel efficient, but it's like the lightest stove you can get, and it does the trick. Towards the end of the trail, I wasn't cooking very much anymore, just having cold food. So it was just for the dehydrated meal treat that I had every now and then. Bic Mini, can't go wrong with that. And then the nice thing about the stove is that it fits my fuel canister. This is one of those 100 gram, 110 gram. So maximizing storage space. I've also got some toiletries in here. So I've got some baby wipes I would keep on hand, as well as my bathroom bag. Got a trowel. I've got the Deuce here, but I actually don't like the Deuce. I use the Boggler Co. I lost mine on trail, and I got one of these I found on trail in a box. But the Boggler has like a nice little rubber backing on the top here, so when you're digging, it's not like the metal's digging into your hand like this one is. Toilet paper, hand sanitizer, a little bidet that attaches right on to the water bottle. So stay nice and clean. It's refreshing in the morning, especially if you got cold water. And most important, I've got soap. These are Sea to Summit little wilderness wash pocket soap. Norovirus is not killed by hand sanitizer, so you are going to want some real soap and wash your hands, because I got norovirus pretty early on in the trail, and you do not want it. It is terrible. Not fun. I also kept a little washcloth hand rag out here just to dry my hands from when I was washing. Sit pad, picked this up a few hundred miles into the trail and never looked back. This is great for when you're setting up your tent. You can kneel on it. If you want to stop on a log and just take a seat. When it's colder, keep your butt from getting cold, and also if it's wet, if it's raining out, this will keep you from getting as wet. I also like to keep my bear bag line on the outside. This is just a Z-Packs little throw bag. I didn't pay for this. I actually early on just saw a bunch of these bags and trees, and I just had some downtime at camp and just got one out. So you can try and go that route too. I started off with just using a like a pillow sack for like one of those inflatable pillows, but found this. I think it was about 50 miles into trail and stayed with me the rest of the way. About 50 feet of rope in there too. That's plenty. That and a carabiner, and you're good for the PCT style hang. Got my toothbrush and toothpaste, and then of course I'm a filthy ultralighter, so I cut my toothbrush down. That or use one of those travel toothbrushes. That is everything for the outside. So we'll start making our way into the bag. I like to keep my tent at the top of my bag with my drop cloth, ground sheets rather. And for my tent, I used a Durston X-Mid Pro 2. This thing was amazing. I loved it to death, and it shows because it's starting to have some zipper issues after the whole through hike. But it's really lightweight. It's a 2-person tent. For one person, it's a palace, and I loved having this thing. It's very comfy and cozy in there. I will say there were a couple spots along the trail where it was a bit tricky to pitch, but I mean that's just a couple spots out of a 5-month hike, so totally fine. For my food bag, I didn't actually bring this Ursack. This is just here for demonstrations purposes, but you could use an Ursack. I prefer to use a Sea to Summit and just do my bear bag hang. That is waterproof. This is not, and there's also the worry that a little critter is going to gnaw through a small hole and get into your food bag. But yeah, also a sport. That's that. Moving along. Clothes bag, just again, a little dry bag. Keep all your clothes in there. And then lastly in here, I've got my sleep system. Pull that out. Put this off to the side. I used one of these X-Ped schnozzle pump bags. These things are amazing. They pump up your pad really fast if you're using an inflatable. And they're also a dry bag, so keep your sleeping bag in there. You could even throw your clothes in there too if you wanted to. And stays nice and dry. For my pad, I used a Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite. This thing, I've had this for years. It's just a beast. Even if it gets a hole, you can patch it, and it's nice and light, and it can keep you warm on the cold nights, especially. The pump sack, I should say, doesn't work with this pad just on its own, so you have to make some sort of an adapter or get some sort of an adapter, but that's not really too much of a barrier, especially for the convenience of having this nice pump bag. Sleeping bag, I used an Enlightened Equipment Enigma 20-degree bag. This thing was amazing. I started off with this and I used it throughout the entire trail. There were some stretches in the mid-Atlantic where it was a bit too warm, but in those situations I would either just sleep with no sleeping bag, or I think I used my ground sheet a couple times. But once you get back into Vermont after the mid-Atlantic, it will start cooling down a bit. For my pillow, I should say, I ended with a Big Agnes Rapide. I didn't like it. I used the Sea to Summit pillows, but I had 2 of them fail on me, so I decided to switch it up. And this is just a little bit smaller than the other ones. I used a Sea to Summit Arrows. Okay, that is everything for the bag inside of it. A couple things clothing-wise. I just want to touch on the shoes I used. I used Ultra Lone Peaks for the first 1,400 miles, maybe 1,300. After getting through New Jersey and Rocksylvania, as they call it, I had a lot of foot pain, probably from the rocks. So I switched to something with a bit more cushion, but still Ultra, still zero drop. And I went with the Olympus. These were great, super comfortable. I will say that since they have more cushion and a bit more structure on them, I started to get blisters on the side. So that might have just been from the switch. That might just be the shoes, but otherwise they were great. Finished the trail with those. Got my puffy here. This I only had for the first 450 miles or something like that. I sent it back around Damascus. Didn't really need it after that. I started March 19th for reference and then finished August 12th. So used it around the Smokies and I think maybe, where else? Anyways, I didn't need it very much, so I sent it back. And since I had a pillow, didn't use it as a pillow either. For my rain gear, just the tried and true Frog Togs pants and coat. The pants are going to rip on you at the crotch, just a heads up, but they are kind of nice to have as a windbreak or if you need a little extra warmth. And then a couple more things. I had this wool buff. This was great. I think I kept this with me most of the trail, if not all the trail, just because it was nice for the cold mornings. You could use it as a little hat too, instead of thicker hat like this, which I also sent back. But then you could use it as a pillowcase to go over your pillow. So it makes it a little more pillow-like. Did I say pillow enough? And then some liner gloves. This is more than enough for most of the trail. Once you get moving, your hands are going to warm right up. Your mileage may vary depending on the time of year you start, but starting in March or even early April, I think you'll be fine. And then I had just a little mid-layer. This is just a lightweight sweatshirt that I had. I think it's North Face. I don't know what. It was a work jacket. But this I kept with me for a little bit too until I sent it back maybe midway through the trail. And then I just used my raincoat if I was ever cold. But this plus a raincoat, especially like a Frog Togs, that'll keep you warm. That'll keep you nice and warm. Last 2 items I've got, I included this here because I didn't use it for all the trail, but for a good chunk of it, I had a cup so that I could eat my breakfast out of my pot and drink my coffee at the same time. But once things started warming up, I didn't want to have hot coffee anymore, so I just started mixing my instant packets into my water bottle. So that worked out nicely. And then my belt bag. I got this somewhere on Harper's Ferry. And man, I wish I would have started with this sooner. My bag didn't have hip belt pockets. And even if they did, I don't really like hip belt pockets. I just feel like they're never in a convenient spot. This is great. It's just right in front of you. Got all your stuff in there. You can put snacks in there, your phone, wallet, even your headlamp, anything. So super convenient in that way. Other things not here. For navigation, I use Far Out, and I cannot recommend that enough. If you aren't planning on using it, I highly suggest looking into it. It's a one-time purchase, and it is just like, it makes things so much easier. Finding water sources, reading reviews on hostels or places in town. You can get a lot of good information there. So yeah, that pretty much does it for the whole kit. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And if you are looking to set out on your through hike here soon, best of luck to you. It's going to be an amazing journey, and you're going to have so much fun and meet so many fun people along the way. It might get tough at sometimes, but just remember that, you know, those challenges, they're just a test, and you can overcome it, and you'll make it. You'll get there. So thanks again for watching. Best of luck to all through hikers, and I will see you in the next video.